I want to tell you just a little bit about our guest. First of all, his generosity is amazing. He's brilliant. He has a PhD in organizational psychology. He is the president of Centers for Spiritual Living. So our whole organization, that which we're an umbrella under. He, as president, he travels all around, and he was in Denver this last week, where our home office is in Golden, Colorado, working, and he came here to work with our board as a special favor to me. He's not taking any money for this retreat. It's what he gives back to us as a community for us being part of the larger organization. That generosity is amazing. And he gave us so much, which we'll be sharing with you as far as our knowledge. He is creative. He's a man of great heart, and great passion and compassion. And I honestly, John, I've forgotten your talk title, so that's all right, because I normally would say, but please give a very warm welcome to the Reverend Dr. John Waterhouse. Whatever he speaks on is fabulous.
Thank you, Heather. That was lovely. Thank you. Thank you. May I have your stand? I like it out here. I want to be clear. If I was back there, you'd be looking at these flowers, and I just wouldn't know if you were hearing me at all. Oh, look at this. This is perfect. No, I like it right there. That's perfect. Feels like home. It's right where mine sits at home. This is great. Hi, everybody. Hi. Thanks for showing up this morning. I want to start with a prayer. Anybody read the blog this week? Okay, then those three of you know that this is important to me. So many movements have a prayer that they're identified by. You've heard the Serenity Prayer, right? That means you're an alcoholic. No, it doesn't. I know. But that's what it's identified with. And then, of course, there's the Lord's Prayer, and there's the Apostles' Creed, and all those wonderful things that are memorized and known. And some of my colleagues and I have talked for years about how we wish we had one that was just ours. So we do. And I would like to share with you, and it's in your program. There's a little slip of paper that looks something like this. Did everyone get one of these? Did anyone not get one of these? All right, well, come up and get one. Don't sit there. There you go. I'll tell you what, you want to... Yo, there you go. There you go. And pass, there's someone over here coming. No, he's coming. Come. There you go. Here, I'll give you mine. There you go. That's fine. Good. Okay, so here's what I'd like you to do. First thing we do is close our eyes. Everybody close your eyes if you would. And I'm going to say this prayer to you, and then I'm going to ask you to open your eyes and say it with me. I know that within myself, there is that life that is perfect, complete, divine. It was never born and cannot die, for it lives and is God. Within myself is the wholeness, peace, poise, and power of life. This life is health, it is abundance, it is love. There is one life, and it is the life of God, and this is my life now. And so it is. You want to say that with me? Let's do it. I know that within myself there is that life which is perfect, complete, divine. It was never born and cannot die, for it lives and is God. Within myself is the wholeness, peace, poise, and power of life. This life is health, it is abundance, it is love. There is one life, and it is the life of God, and this is my life now. And so it is. Does that work for you? That really works for me. We do that at our center every Sunday morning, and I know where I am when I say that I'm in the presence of the divine. Good. So yes, I did come to Capistrano Valley, to this beautiful community, first by invitation to work with your board. And I want you to know you have an extraordinary group of people that act as stewards of your community. I worked their butts off. They stayed with me the whole time. We had one that had to go because of a family situation, but everybody else stayed, even far beyond what we had planned, because there was work to do. What we did after we'd done all the exercises and had all the conversations that I brought, it was clear to Dr. Heather and I that it was time to bless this community. And that group of people, let's just acknowledge them. Where are you guys? Stand up if you're great, wonderful. Doris and Aiden and Kathy and Heather and Fred and Pam, thank you. Thank you. We walked into every area of this building and even outside in the parking area, and we blessed it. We thought it was going to take like a half hour. It took 2 hours and 15 minutes. We went into every classroom. We went upstairs into the offices. We didn't go into the private offices, you know about those. But we blessed every single doorway up there. We blessed the reception area and the manager's office. We came down and we blessed the parking area and the patio and the place where the sign goes and the beautiful outside of this building. We just went around, and every one of us, holding hands in circle, did treatment work, did our prayer work for this community. It was beautiful. It was extraordinary. And I bet you can feel it if you know about it. So we came in here and we sat in a circle right here and just talked about how extraordinary this community is. And it was all from our hearts. And we know the very best for this community. So if you ever question if you're loved in this place, I want to assure you you are. And these people have the very highest and best intention for you as a community to succeed in every way. And it really felt so wonderful, and I was so profoundly blessed to be with this group of people. So thank you. Thank you. That was great. So what did I come to talk about? I must have come to talk about something here. How many of you, by a show of hands, have ever been asked, what's Center for Spiritual Living? Yeah, there it is. Okay, how many of you were absolutely and completely satisfied with the answer you gave? Yeah, 2. Right. Why is that? And that's universal. It's not you. It's not about you. It seems to be something about us. And what I believe it is, I've thought about this for a while. What I think that's about is that we're not proselytizers. We're not missionaries. We have no need to save one another. We're not going to a fiery hell.
And you talk about the truth.
Yeah. So the reason that we're not quite satisfied is that we're not practiced on what to say, because there's no urgency. Everything's fine. God's already here. Everything's great. Why do we have to be concerned about having something compelling to bring people in this door? Because whether they're in here or they're out there, they're doing what they're doing, and it's all perfect because it's all God. So thinking about this and wanting to know kind of where to go, I remembered in the 1980s when I was very young. I was part of a grassroots lobbying organization that was headquartered in Washington, D.C. Grassroots means it was just like common folk got together, and what we would do, all these people that were involved in this thing called Results, it was around the issues of hunger. That we would gather in Washington, D.C. and fill a ballroom, and at some point we would all divvy up in our congressional districts and go visit our congressmen and and congresswomen and our senators and kind of tell them what we had in mind. And it was a great program. They would not let us not know who we were and not be able to tell everybody who we were. So this group called Results created what they called an elevator talk. You ever heard of that? Yeah. Elevator talk, for anybody who doesn't know, means that it's something you can tell somebody between the time that the doors of the elevator close and they open on another floor nearby. What do you want to tell somebody that's really going to get it? So I haven't been in Results for a long time, but I went back to their website and I found their elevator speech, and I wanted to share that with you because it really is quite compelling how this works. If somebody says, what is Results? This is what they get. We are passionate grassroots activists. We are passionate grassroots activists creating the public and political will to end poverty by leveraging programs and improving policies that give low-income people the opportunity to thrive. Now, I don't care what your politics are. When you hear that, you know what they do. There's no question about what they do. So what do we do? Yeah. Oh, yeah, right. It's on a piece of paper there, isn't it? Well, let me not compel you to think this is the only thing that could be said, but I came up with an elevator talk, and I wanted to share with you, and I thought maybe we'd just say it together. So it's on the other side of the little piece of paper that you just read from. Can't be too far away. And I know everyone has one now. You want to say this together? Let's do this. Here we go. We are a spiritual community that recognizes and celebrates the infinite presence of God. We don't seek to know God outside of ourselves. Instead, we know God within us. We believe that the highest God and the innermost God is one God. Pretty clear, huh? So why would this be the elevator speech that I would come up with? Well, to me, the idea of oneness is the most powerful thing we have to bring to the world. The idea that God is all there is. I know of nothing more compelling in our teaching than that right there. And we're still working on it. Trust me, we're all still working on it, because most of us say, I am one with God, which means that our language falls short, because if you're with God, that's saying you're not God, you're with God. But we all say those kind of things. The truth is that God is all there is. Not only is God all there is, God is behind and back of all that is. God created all there is. And that's what I am. That's who I am. I am that creative force. And when we start getting that, we'll start living this concept of called the science of mind at its fullest level. I think most of us still want a relationship with the divine, and that's lovely. But it's not real. The divine's already here, right now. God is all there is. That's us. That creative force that created the cosmos is us. And we're using that same creative power to create our lives today. There is no difference. There are not levels of power. There's only the creative power of God. That's what we use. How do we do it? We think. We think a thought. We have an idea. We believe something. And it shows up in our lives. It's just that simple. And when we tell people around us that there's only one thing going on, it's God. And the highest God and the innermost God is the same exact God, without exception, then we're revealing that truth. So what does that mean when we say that out in the world? Well, it allows people to put us in a box. And that's okay. It's okay, because when people put you in a box, being a psychologist, I understand this concept, it simply makes you safe. And it doesn't mean that what the box they put you in is accurate. It just means that helps them be okay around you. So let them do that. It's really not a problem. But the truth is that there's even greater things to know. There's things to know like, if I believe that, how does that change my life? If I embrace and embody the idea that God is all there is, how do I tend to my affairs? How is my life different than if I think God is out there somewhere in an intermittent interest of me? Well, it changes it a lot. Because then I have to think that every thought that crosses my mind must be God's thought. I must recognize that every time my heart beats a beat, that's God's heart beating. I must begin to understand that I have great and powerful influence over the circumstances and situations of my life. This is powerful stuff. And it's been going on for a while now. And for some reason, when Aidan was praying Dr. Heather and I in this morning, I just got this pop that I needed to share something from the textbook with you. This is not the textbook most of you did in class. Some of you may have. I don't know if you teach from this. This was Ernest Holmes' original textbook. He wrote it in 1920s. He published it in 1926. I hear his mother published it. He wrote it before that in the early 20s. It's when he was really young and feisty. And it says something in here that just grabs my heart. And I want to share it with you. It's the introduction to Lesson 2. Lessons, what a concept. I love that. Science, which is the science of mind and makes a tremendous claim. when it states that it the individual from the bondage of poverty and unhappiness. I'm going to read that part again because that's just too good. Mental science, which is the science of mind and spirit, makes a tremendous the individual from the bondage, poverty. But it makes this statement with and without qualification. It does not retract from this claim. It does, however, carefully set forth the conditions under which it operates, laws governing life, warning man that unless he understands these conditions and obeys laws, he will not receive full benefit from the science. That if you are unhappy, that if you are poor, that if you are in any way feeling incomplete, that by knowing the truth you can change. Wow, you don't have to appease an outside God. No one's giving this. You're creating it yourself. What a concept. Should we not teach this to every child on the planet? Every child should know that the power of God dwells at the point of them. They'll test it, no doubt, but they'll find, we'll all find, that when we live creed, when we know that the presence of the divine dwells at the point, that anything can happen. Everything can happen. We have it happen here. We felt it yesterday when we were doing our treatment work, when we were going from room to room, knowing the truth of this community. The truth is that whatever you're thinking, whatever you're doing in your life, you're creating an outcome. You're creating an outcome by the way you see it. And if you're going to struggle, life's going to give you plenty to struggle about. And if you're going to believe that you have everything that you need, you're going to have it. I gave them an exercise yesterday. It was a tough one. I gave them some supplies and asked them to do something. And they thought I was making fun of them and playing with them. And they're going, there's no way this can happen. And they looked at it and they played with it and they turned it upside down and thought they could break the rules on the list of conditions that I said must exist for this to work. Nothing. And then all of a sudden, we had two groups going. One of the groups had 4, one of the groups had 3. The group that had 4, Aiden was in. And he stopped everything and he started treating. He started treating. The mind that created this puzzle knows the answer. How many minds are there? One mind. Suddenly he was accessing that. And everything shifted. And we talked about what people were seeing. I had them all close their eyes and access that mind. And they started having images of things that were taking them to the answer. And it didn't take long before Kathy put that puzzle together. Not by herself, with the support of everyone there and her practitioner in the moment, Aiden. There's nothing we can't do. There's nothing we can't accomplish. It's right there for us at any moment in any way. And there's a whole world out there that hasn't figured this out yet. You're beginning to figure it out. I'm beginning to figure it out. I'm starting to get a glimpse of what this can do. And we're all on that path together. Wherever we are, we're all on that path together. And frankly, from anyone that just walked in the door, Charles, to anyone else in this room that's been coming to these kind of places for 30, 40 years, it doesn't matter. We're all still getting our start at understanding how this works. And it's wonderful. And it's exciting. And we continue to grow and prosper in it. And there's a whole world out there that hasn't heard this yet. I believe they know it. They just don't know it consciously yet. So I want to go back to this initial idea of what is Center for Spiritual Living? And this idea that we don't really necessarily have the words right away. The idea that we're not missionaries, that we're not proselytizing, that we're not trying to save anybody, that that's not our calling. But we are something. And what I like to call us, not missionaries, permissionaries. Permissionaries. Think about that for a second. How would that work? I'm not saying that you go around giving people permission to be the God beings they are, but in essence I am. Because if you know that the divine presence dwells within you, it must dwell within them. It isn't about knowing it that makes it so. It's just so. So when someone says, I don't know what to do, you can say, of course you do. You know just what to do. When someone says, I can't, you can look them straight in the eyes with all the love of God and say, yes, you can. When someone says, I forgot, you can say, I'll help you remember. You can lift them up by knowing who they are, by seeing the God being of their presence on this planet. It's the same God being that you are. By looking into their eyes and seeing God, you lift them up. And here's the coolest thing about doing this. When you lift someone else up, you're automatically lifted up. Automatically lifted up. You cannot raise somebody else higher than you, but you can raise somebody else and raise yourself at the same moment. So I want to invite you to be a permissionary, to give people permission to be the God beings they are. Everybody's looking for it. Everybody's trying to figure it out. You have some information for them. That information is in the one mind. And sometimes it's good to just say it out loud. To tell somebody how much you love them. To see that God presence in what they're doing. Even when you don't like what they're doing God's thing. Because there's nothing outside of God. There's nothing going on outside of the divine. It's all the same. So give them permission to love, to laugh, to understand who they are a little bit better. Plant a seed so that they can be lifted up and you can be lifted up. And what happens out of that is the world becomes a better place. So I invite you to join me in making the world a better place. That is sort of what we're here to do. And we are evolving into our fullest expression. And we are just beginning to understand the power we wield as the presence of the divine. Thank you. Thank you for being here today. I love you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. Oh, that was wonderful. And so we acknowledge you again. So great to have you here.